The title of my presentation is Sing Your Song, but I will not be singing during this presentation unless, well, keep talking. I want to begin by looking at an old proverb that apparently comes from Zimbabwe. And that proverb says, if you can walk, you can dance. And if you can talk, you can sing. Part of that statement is utterly false and a lie. And I believe it's the first part. And I have exhibits. Despite what we saw this morning, I have exhibits to prove that that is not true. That is exhibit number 1. Elaine. She could walk, but she couldn't dance. Exhibit number 2. Where the hell is Matt? Wonderful guy, wonderful concept, couldn't dance, honestly. Exhibit number 3, 2 words, Cloris Leachman. Okay. Exhibit number 4, thankfully, I didn't bring any images because they were too horrifying, frankly, but me and every guy I went to high school with couldn't dance. So, this brings me to a question. If we can't dance, what can we do? And this is my answer.
For just one time, I would take the Northwest Passage to find the hand of Franklin reaching for the Beaufort Sea, tracing one warm line through a land so wide and savage, and make a Northwest Passage to the sea.
Gives you chills, doesn't it? That's what we can do. And for some reason, I don't know why, Canadians seem to be really good at this. I mean, think about it, right? You've got Gord. You've got Lynn, right here in Ottawa. Another Ottawa guy. He can sing a little bit. You got Sarah Harmer. You got Neil, who fortunately doesn't have any cocaine residue on his upper lip in that picture. You've got Sarah. You've got Danny Michel, my personal great white whale for house concerts. He hasn't said yes yet, but he will. You've got Joni. You've got Matthew Good. You've got Buffy. You've got Ian. You've got Tegan and Sarah, right? And that's just scratching the surface. That was half a minute of Googling. And of course, you've got Stan. So, singing your song. I want to talk about what singing your song really means. And it's not about singing. It's about the way that you live your life. And the first component that I see of singing your song is love. So I'm going to tell you a little story. I knew from really early on in my life that music was important to me. And there were 2 things that happened when I was a teenager, and things happen to you when you're a teenager that have a deep significance, right? One of the things that happened to me when I was a teenager was that I lost a brother. And I lost him to suicide. And he took a lot of pills. And as the pills took hold, it was the middle of the night in our house, and he put on music. And he put on Supertramp's Breakfast in America album. And there are still songs on that album that just break me down every time I hear it. But I still listen to it, even though there's that association. And it was that experience, that potent association of words and music and powerful emotion that stuck with me. And in about a 2-year span, I was in our high school band, and we had our final concert in high school. And we decided that we were going to have a party after that concert, a highly illegal party. So we snuck some people in the band out of the school auditorium. They went off on a little spending spree at the local bootlegger's shop. This was in Cape Breton, so there were bootleggers, and still are. They came back with their ill-gotten gains, finished the concert. We snuck off to my parents' cabin on the shores of the Labrador Lakes. Put the beer in the lake to cool down. Started to chat, and we were all excited. We had finished our final concert. And then all of a sudden, someone who was in the band started to sing. And they sang this song that started, "Oh, the year was 1778. I knew that that would happen. And it was particularly powerful because the person who started singing was the lead singer of the Baron McNeils, although they weren't the Baron McNeils at the time. And I said, "Who is that?" And it was Stan Rogers. And then, unfortunately for me, I never had the chance to see Stan live because that summer he passed away. He died on an airplane. And there are stories that Stan kept going back into the plane. It was on fire on the runway. And there are stories that this big, huge, red-headed guy kept going into the plane and picking people up and dragging them to the emergency exits and tossing them down the emergency exits. And eventually he just went back in and didn't come back out. I don't know whether that's true or not. But when I heard Stan Rogers' music for that first time, and then I found the original stuff, again, it was one of those things that caught me. And I knew that that was going to stick with me. But I wasn't very confident at that point. And a few years later, I stayed in touch with the Baron McNeils. And by that time, my love for music had turned into a passion, but I just didn't have the courage to follow it up. And the Baron McNeils came to me and said, "You should be our publicist." And I had just started doing PR at that point, which is what I do now. But I didn't have the courage to follow up. And so I sort of backed away from it and never did it. And it went on that way for a long time. And it's not that I had a bad life in those intervening years, but I knew at one level that I wasn't fully singing my song. I loved music, I played music, but I played it for myself in a room, alone. I didn't share it with other people. I listened to it all the time, and I still do, but I didn't share that love and that passion with other people. And then two more things happened in the summer of 2006. I had a really great summer that year. Not only did I turn 40, but I got cancer. Yes, doubleheader. And one thing that turning 40 and getting cancer of a summer will do for you is it makes you look at your priorities. So I looked at my priorities, and it wasn't that I was miserably unhappy, but I knew that I wasn't following my passion, that I wasn't doing really what I loved. And I loved what I did, but I wasn't doing what I loved. So I was having long chats with my partner at the time, and she sort of said, "Well, what is it that you want to do? What are you not doing now that you want to do?" And I said, "I want to get involved with music somehow." And the opportunity that we decided on was house concerts. So what we did was we decided that for her 40th birthday, which came after mine, that we would try this whole house concert thing out. We didn't charge anybody to come to her 40th birthday party. That seemed a little gauche. We just paid the musicians. But it was amazing, right? And I can remember that at one point I was sitting on the arm of a chair, and someone looked up at me who was sitting in the chair, and it was Susie Vinnick and Tony D, right? Sitting in my house playing. And they sort of elbowed me and they said, that's bleeping Tony D up there. I said, "I know, I can't believe it." And so it was at that point that I knew that was singing my song. And so at the start, we thought we were going to do 3 of those a year. And then the first year we did 8. And it's sort of kept on like that. And eventually, I thought to myself, is there something that I can do with this that will turn this from a sideline? Because one of the things about house concerts is that your standard house concert presenter doesn't make money from it. We've never made a penny from it. In fact, Some of the folding chairs that are being used here today are house concert folding chairs. We bought those. We spent money on it. Not a good business model, frankly. But it was paying me a lot more in passion than it was in money. And then I started to think of, is there a way that I can integrate this into my working life? Is there a way that I can start to work with musicians and make money for myself and still do the supportive actions that I wanted to do? Because one of the things that's amazing about roots music and roots musicians is that they do this and they get paid crap. And if you bring 40 people into your house and they all pay a little bit of money for an amazing night of music, that musician can walk away with a really good night. So we wanted to be supportive, and I wanted to figure out new ways of being supportive of musicians. And that's where practicality came in, the final component, well, the penultimate component of singing your song. How can I do this? I'm too old to start a rock band. Because we have a mortgage, and as someone commonly says, there are hundreds of dollars to be made in the music business. And so I can't do that. I still need to be part of the household. I still need to make a contribution. So what do I do? And so I figured out a way that I think is going to work, where I do my PR thing for people, and then my business model is basically a pie chart. If you think of a pie, and there's a slice about this much, about 80% of the money that I figure I'm going to make is going to come from doing sort of corporate PR, and about 20% of that money is going to come from doing music work. Same pie chart, 80% of the joy that I'll probably derive from my working life is going to come from the music side, 20% from the corporate side. So it's finding a way to meld your passion with being able to make a life. And that doesn't mean that I'm going to get rich. I probably won't, judging by past performance at least. But what you can do is you get to explore creativity in a new way. And if there's one thing that I know about music, it's that creativity comes not from being totally free and sort of playing things randomly, but working within a structure. A blues song has 3 chords. A guitar has 6 strings. There are 12 notes in a scale. You have to work within those structures. You can't make up new notes. Those are the ones you got. You can make up new chords, but they've probably already been thought of. You work within those structures. You put new things together. And that's how you develop creativity, how you bring new work into the world, how you bring new art into the world. And that's where fulfillment comes in. The thing about singing a song is that you don't sing it once and it's over. It keeps getting sung, in some cases by you, in some cases by other people. And every time it's sung, whether it's sung to 2 people or 200 or 2,000 people, there's this magic that happens between the performer, the song, and the audience. And every time it's different, and the audience adds something, the performer adds something, and there's this magic about being there when art is being made. And that's why, if you transfer that into whatever you do in your life, you're able to work with other people. And that's why events like this are such amazing opportunities, because what I'm doing right now, although the melody is really bad, is I'm singing a song to you. You're listening. You're hopefully getting something out of it. I know that I'm getting something out of it. And if this idea is going to spread, then that song has done its job. So there's been lots of talk so far, but if I'm going to do a presentation called Sing Your Song, I think I kind of need to have a song. But I'm not going to inflict my song on you. You've already heard me for probably too long. So I've asked someone who is a professional song singer, Andrea Sims-Karp, to come along and give us one of her songs. And Andrea released an album in 2006 called Sleeper. You may have heard her on the Vinyl Cafe this season. And she's currently working on songs for a new album. And so let's get you from behind that credenza. Let's let them see your whole pretty self. And I'm going to let you talk about what singing your song is for you.
All right. Thank you, Bob. This is a topic that is near and dear to me because, as many of you may know, being a songwriter is sometimes never lucrative, and you can toil away in obscurity for a long time, and that's a reality I've dealt with. But I've never actually minded, and I'll say why very quickly. It's exactly what Bob was getting at. The amount of joy and fulfillment that I get from continuing to write songs and performing and recording will always be worth it, whether or not it's paying my rent or if it's sending me off on tour or whatnot. It's always going to be worth it. It becomes sort of a way of life and part of your blood, and it is your passion. And in a way, it doesn't need to be songwriting. It can be whatever you're interested in or whatever makes you feel good, but for me it's songs. And Bob asked me to pick a song that sort of illustrated what he was just talking about. I've chosen a song called Running Shoes that I wrote maybe 5 years ago now, and it was just a sort of a silly tune that I picked out on my guitar, and I didn't think much of it. And when I was recording my album, the person who was co-producing said, you should give that song a second chance. I don't think we should just toss it away. I wasn't going to put it on the album. And so we experimented around a little bit, and it was sort of a big cheesy ballad. And so instead we just put it in double time, sped it up, thought it would be fun, recorded it, put it on the album. And thankfully, CBC Radio picked that song out of the album and started playing it all over the country, which made me keep playing, actually, and helped pay off the album and got some good stuff going. And then this fall, they played me on the Vinyl Cafe as an actual musical guest, which was a huge, huge dream of mine. And now I'm standing here in front of you playing the 6-string Nation guitar, so these things can happen. I will say that superficially this song was actually inspired by a very cool pair of running shoes. But as I've said before, like a good songwriter, I turned it into a love song. It's not a plan, just a map on a napkin I drew in a diner waiting for my order in the local cop. Just a few tables over keeps looking this way. And I hope that he's lonely and wants to come over. I hope that he too is waiting for his order. And I hope that his glances had nothing to do with the heart in my pocket I stole last night from you. I wait like a mother expecting bad news. I got nothing to save me but my running shoes. I'm running from you. Running from you. And I can do friendly if friendly feels good, but I'm feeling it less than I guess that I should. And I know that I'm failing when all I can see is the back of your head walking away from me. Oh, I gave you my dinner and half of my bed. Who thought I'd be running from your love instead? And I left you for dead.
you for dead. And I'm sure enough to have packed my brass and my bags, with my thumb out to flag anybody who's leaving the valley. I'm sure enough to have packed my brass and my bags, with my thumb out to flag anybody who's leaving the valley, leaving the valley. So can I hop in? If you're driving my way, I won't be in any trouble, there's nothing to say. I'll hop out at the truck stop a few cities down. I'll find someone new in a neighboring town. Oh, I'm lonely as sin with everyone I know. Thought I had your love, now there's nothing to show. Oh, look at me go. Look at me go. And I'm sure enough to have packed my brass in my bags, with my thumb out to flag anybody who's leaving the valley. I'm sure enough to have packed my brass in my bags, with my thumb out to flag anybody who's leaving the valley, who's leaving the valley. Who's leaving the valley, leaving the valley, leaving the valley? Who's leaving? Da 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 da. Thank you very much.